Things are visible? Hello?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay. So we'll talk about Dirichlet boundary condition. So this is 2 points where functions are actually constant, which is alpha and beta. Neumann boundary condition where derivatives are actually specified, and Robin or mixed boundary conditions. We have derivative and function value are actually specified. So these are the boundary conditions one can actually expect about the for the implementation. So the differential operator LU equals to F. So so now I'm entering the concept of residuals. d2u by dx square plus 5 equals to F, and L is the operator, which is d2 by dx square plus 5. One of the examples. So this is one of the philosophical perspectives of the how to construct the residual. So L is the operator, means it has got differential system. So when you actually discretize the approximate solution, it is you had the d2u by dx square minus F, which is the which actually gives residual. That means when you have approximate solutions, LU hat is not equals to F, it will give some kind of error, and your objective is to minimize the error or minimize the residual. So when you have d2u by dx square equals plus 5u equals to F, you have the residuals where u hat is the approximate solution, it is d2u hat by dx square plus 5u hat minus F. So the next part is we have the approximation. So when we do the residual method, which is the heart of finite element method, so residual techniques, what it talks about, that any vector can be expressed as a linear combination of basis function, as we discussed today. So that's what we have learned today is pretty much useful. So similarly, any function can be expressed linear function of the basis function. That's a functional space. So this coefficient has to be determined. These basis functions we actually use. Their basis functions can be constructed in different fashion. I will be discussing that part. And residual is LU minus F, which is the summation I equals to 1 to n ai phi in minus F. And what actually happens is these errors are residual in the average sense. We have to make it zero. That means this is not the average of the error is the minimized, is the integral we are talking about, because this function, it consists of infinite points, and infinite points we have to take the error, and that becomes integral, as I talked about today, that infinite dimensional vector space. So you have continuous functions, and this is the integral, and finally we can see that the weighted error. So that means when you have the weighted error, each point, so it is like a weighted mean. So if you have mean, summation xi by n is the mean. So if you have weighted mean, it is summation wi xi by summation wi, and here the xi will be replaced by ri, which we are talking about the errors. So we get some integral rx wx dx equal to 0, and error rx is orthogonal to the weighted function. So various weighted residual methods based on the weighting. So you have to design the weighting function. So it has got different types of weighting function. We have collocation method, we have subdomain method, we have least square method of moments, and the Galerkin method. So if you look at the collocation method, we have the Dirac delta function. Delta function is the weighting function for collocation method. So in that case, this integral will be directly reduced to the one of the algebraic expression. No need to do any integration. Algebraic equation at a particular point. Then we have subdomain method where integral is set to 0 and wx equals to 1. This is also very simple to do that. We have least square method where weighting function is which is the derivative of the residuals with different, and it has got coefficient ai. So we have rx into dou rx dou ai dx equals to 0. We have method of moments, and we have the Galerkin method. You can see the respective weighting functions. So various weighted residual methods. If you see that there are these are sample problem du by dx squared plus u equals to 1, which is varying between in the domain 0 x less than equals to x less than equals to 1, and u0 equals to 1 and u1 equals to 0. These are the two boundary conditions. As I said, these two are Dirichlet boundary conditions. So the approximation which is which I am trying to mention here, which is we can express the solution as a0 plus a1x plus a2x x square. And for this residual techniques, I am using the basis set 1x x square. So we have so if you have the apply the boundary condition, as I said, the boundary condition is u0 equals to 1 and u1 equal to 0, and in that case you can easily obtain these expressions a0 equals to 1 and a1 plus a2 equals to minus 1. So u hat is nothing but if you employ a0 a1 a2, you get 1 minus x plus a2x into x minus 1, and you see the residual can be obtained as this is the final residual form, and one can actually employ 1 point collocation r xi equals to 0. This is the 1 point collocation, and this is the one element subdomain method, and here you can see that weighting function equals to 1. So you have the different kind of solutions. You have the least square method, you have the Galerkin method, and finally one can actually have the analytical solution for this technique, for this method, which is ux is 1 minus sine x by sine 1, and numerical solution you obtain as from that is collocation method. This is the solution for based on collocation, subdomain, and least square and Galerkin method. And see the comparison here, and we can see that Galerkin and least square method actually fit pretty well with the analytical solution. So my first part of the lecture will be revolving with the OCFEM, which is called as orthogonal collocation finite element method, which is based on the collocation technique. That means the weighting function is nothing but the delta function. So orthogonal collocation means when we talk about the collocation, actually we can actually have equi-space collocation points, but orthogonal collocation points actually based on the root of orthogonal polynomial, and orthogonal polynomials are constructed based on Gram-Schmidt orthonormalization. So when you have 0 to 1, you can have corresponding orthogonal polynomial. It is 6x square minus 6x plus 1, and you get two roots 0.2113 and 0.7886. So these are the roots of the orthogonal polynomial, and that's why this is nothing but orthogonal collocation. So the problem definition: 1 by 6 d2y by dx square minus dy dx minus 2y square equal to 0. So what actually happens? The x is equal to 0, we have dy dx equals to 6 into I minus 1. At x equals to 1, we have dy dx equals to 0. These are two boundary conditions, and these boundary conditions are termed as Neumann boundary conditions. So again, I talk about these boundary conditions are termed as Neumann boundary condition. So and this is the pictorial of the collocation points. So if you look at this x1, x2, x3, and x4, and these 2 points are the collocation points. So dy dx equals 6 into I minus 1, and dy dx equals to 0. So so we can see that there are two collocation points, and we have cubic polynomial, which is d1 plus d2x plus d3x square plus d4x cube. Why it is cubic polynomial? Because you can see the 4 points are actually there. I need to have a cubic polynomial to fit into this point. So basically, why it is called 2-point collocation? Because these 2 points are actually fixed. Only these 2 points are the things where you have to focus on the collocation problem. So what actually happens based on this? So you can see that you're approximating a solution for this problem as cubic polynomial, that is d1 plus d2x plus d3x square plus d4x cube. And of course, if you know d1, d2, d3, and d4, the advantage of collocation technique or any of the residual techniques is at any point in the domain, we can actually get the solution. Please note down that at any point in the domain, we can get the solution. So if you employ y equals to d1, d2, d3, d4, the 4 collocation points. So the 4 points are y hat x1, y hat x2, y hat x3, and y hat x4. And we have at this first point, it is this point is x1, second point is x2, third point is x3, and fourth point is x4. So 1 x1, x1 cube, x1 square, x1 cube. Similarly, 1 x2, x2 square, x2 cube. 1 x3, x3 square, x3 cube, and 1 x4, x4 square, x4 cube. So we get a vector y hat. I define this matrix is Q, and this vector is D. So you have y hat equals to QD and D equals to Q inverse y. So this is for the y. But if you look at in this expression, we have 1 by 6 d2y by dx square. minus dy dx minus 2y square. So you need to evaluate the derivative and the first derivative and the second derivative. So this is actually good enough for the function. So the first derivative means we need to take first derivative. So it will be 0. This will be 1. This will be 2x1. This will be 3x1 square. You see subsequently the same thing will be followed for the second point, third point, and the fourth point. So you have the another format of y prime vector. This is having a matrix C into multiplied by D. So here we have seen that we got D equals to Q inverse Y. So we substitute D as Q inverse Y. So you have C Q inverse Y and C Q inverse. This matrix can be termed as a matrix. So you have Y prime is AY. So similarly you have Y double prime. So you can again take derivative 0, 0, 2 and 6x1 and so on, and you get the similar way Y double prime D into D. D is nothing but Q inverse Y from here, and you get D matrix. So this A and B matrix have to be filled in the problem, your computer program. So 2-point orthogonal collocations continue. So what actually happens? We have these two internal residuals will be coming, and outer residuals R1, R2 based R1, R4 will be based on the boundary conditions. So the boundary nodes dy dx 6 into y minus 1. So for the boundary nodes, we need to have y prime equals to ay, and so this a terms will be. So what actually happens that this boundary the first node. So in that case, we'll be having all these first rows, and for the last boundary condition, we need to take the last row of this matrix. So we have R1 is nothing but this expression, and R4 dy dx equal to 0. This will be this expression. So internal nodes will be. So if we look at internal nodes, very interesting things actually happen. So 1/6 d2y by d square minus dy dx minus 2y square, and it actually it gives 1/6, and this is for the second row. That's why I'm saying B2 from the column, and then again A2, and then 2y is the second row. Similarly for the third row, it will be B3, A3, and 2y3, and this is the A matrix and B matrix. This is the way one can actually construct R1, R2, R3, and R4. We can also have Jacobian because of nonlinearity. You cannot solve directly. You have to use the Jacobian, and this is the solution. So the same problem we can. So this is the basic of the orthogonal collocation. So next we'll be talking about the OCFEM, which is orthogonal collocation finite element method. So computational domain is discretized into finite elements. So apply orthogonal collocation each element. So basically what I'm trying to say here, you have element 1 and element 2, and if you look into that, you can see that so this is the way the first time you are introducing finite element method, you will see a lot of mapping will be there. So what I mean this mapping, that we can see that the nodes are concentrated in each element. So we have the sort of violet color, we have red color, and you have green color is element 1, element 2. So the total domain is length 1. Each domain length I put 0.5 for the element, each element. So each element you have the 0.5 length. So and each element will have orthogonal collocation. That means each element will have collocation points 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. These 1, 2, 3, 4 are basically called as local nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4 are the local nodes. So similarly, for the globally, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have global 7 nodes. That means you have total 7 unknowns. And here, the previous problem, the same problem we talked about, the only one orthogonal collocation in the entire domain. We have the 4 nodes. So basically, that means for orthogonal collocation, the limitation, we can only use maximum 4 nodes. But in the case of the higher nonlinearity, this may give some kind of error, a numerical error. In that case, what actually happens? One can go for the higher elements, higher number of nodes. Number of nodes to be higher for the OCFEM, orthogonal collocation FEM. So in that case, there's a problem because orthogonal collocation we talk about two internal points, and those two internal points, look into again this points, that is point 2118 and point 7886 is basically the Gauss quadrature points, and that is basically based on 0 to 1. That is based on 0 to 1, but we have 0 to 0.5 means you have to redefine your domain with a new variable. So that means we have to have a pseudo domain where this domain between will be occurring between 0 to 1. That's, having said that, we need to have a new variable called x hat. Okay. So what actually happened, as I mentioned here, each element is mapped in 0 to 1 domain. So I will have one variable called NOP variable, NOP I comma 1. How do I define the NOP? The NOP E comma L, E is the element number and it is the local node number, and G is the global node number. So NOP 2 comma 2 equals to 5, NOP 2 comma 3 equal to 6. So you can see that when you look at this mapping is very, very important for all my finite element lectures. So now if I have the element number say 2, so I am going to here, local node number is 2 and the global node number is 5. So knob 2 comma 2 equals to 5. When you have local element number 2, local node number is 3, you get 6. And here for this case you have a node shared by both elements. So in that case what actually happens, you have knob 1 comma 4, and which is equals to knob 2 comma 1, and that's equals to 4. So this is the way this knob has been delivered. So what actually happens here, if you look at x hat, it is x minus x knob I comma 1 by hi. With this mapping we can get the x hat variable varying between 0 to 1. In that case differential equation has to be changed. So what actually happens, so this is my OCFEM structure, and this is x equal to 0.5 and 1, and what we do that we will have a new variable x minus x knob I comma 1 by hi. So with that what actually happens, my x hat variable will be 0 and 1 here, and for this x hat variable 0 and 1. So for each domain I have different differential equation. And what is that? So dy dx is nothing but dy by dx I hat by dx, which is dx I hat, which is nothing but if you take derivative dx I hat by dx, you get 1 by h hat, and finally your dy dx will be replaced by 1 by hi into dy by dx I hat. So 1 by 6 it will be, so d2i by dx square will be 1 by hi square, d2i by dx hat square minus 1 by hi dy by dx I hat and minus 2i square. And at x equals to 0, these are the boundary conditions, and this is already there. But what actually happens at x hat equal to 0, this boundary condition, at x hat equals to 1, this boundary condition, this x hat equals to 1 for the second element. And what actually happens at the interface, there could be some other issues, and that I can address in subsequent slide. So residual the left boundary node 1, which is obtained by 1 by hi dy dx 6yi minus 1, which is from the first row of the A matrix. We can see that, and then the seventh residual, we can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. We can have this boundary condition dy dx equals to 0. We have this boundary condition. So similar residual at internal nodes 2 3 5 6. We can actually do a small MATLAB program or Fortran programming. So we can have R knob I comma j. This is the second and third for the A matrix and B matrix. So we can have the j varying between 2 and 3, and we can get all the terms. So this is one line. We can actually have 4 residuals. That's very interesting algorithm we can actually look into, and you can see number of elements. If we can have 100 elements. So this do loop, when we talk about this do loop, this very, very important do loop, With that, we can even talk about 100 internal nodes for so many elements. So with that, you can actually compute all the internal nodes. And then the interesting part here, at the interface. So at the interface, what actually happens, we don't have any boundary condition, but we can always have something called fast continuity. And definitely there are two things we can actually talk about. One is called as function continuity, other is the flux continuity. Of course, flux continuity, it makes sense if what is a heat transfer problem. If you look at the composite domain of composite slabs, definitely the flux is continuous. So physical perspective, if we talk about physics, the flux continuity makes sense. So flux continuity at interface, so it is 1 by h1 dy by dx1 hat and equals to 1 by h2 dy by dx2 hat, that's equals to 0. That's a residual, so that is coming from here, and you have to take the A matrix very carefully here, because if you look at this for the first element, this is the second element. So when you talk about this point, this is the fourth row of the A matrix, and this is the first row of A matrix. So if you look at this, these matrices are very important. So you can see that for the first element you have the fourth row, and the second element is the first row, and you get all residuals. Then you can use the Newton-Raphson method to obtain the solution. So these are the 4 elements. We have done the calculation. If you see this, such a nice banded structure of the matrix. Banded means this is the band structure where we can see the non-zero entries. Other parts are actually 0, and we can have banded solvers. So banded solver is one of the techniques, one of many of the commercial packages actually used, and we can and basically I have the shown here residuals. So residuals for the global node numbers. So when we talk about only one dimension, only one element OCFM, that means only one orthogonal convolution for the entire domain, and this is the where the convergence is. So basically this convergence is very important. It's basically called as quadratic convergence, because Newton-Raphson method, you all know that it is actually the order of convergence is 2. That's called quadratic convergence. That means if you talk about residuals, quadratic convergence means it will be 10 to the power minus 2, minus 4, minus 8. This is the way it goes. So you can see that it is you can see minus 1, minus 3, minus 8, minus 14. So like a quadratic convergence. So similarly for the 2 elements, we have done the same residuals. So 2 elements means we have seen 7 nodes, and we can see the quadratic convergence. And then we have done the 3 elements, and 3 elements means 10 nodes. We have seen the quadratic convergence, and residual values for the quadratic convergence are also obtained for 4 elements. We do the computer program. This is the comparison with the analytical solution. We can see that 2-point OC, and then you have 1-point OC. You have 4 element OCFEM. This is the thing, and you can see that how nicely the above graph shows that a 4 element OCFEM predicts the actual value better than 2-point or even 1-point OCFEM. So that is the way we do the numerical experiment. So this is the one first thing we have learned for OCFEM, that how we can do numerical experiments. So basically people in a packages, what they do, that they will simply increase number of points and say that I get the solution. But there is a systematic way to increase number of points to see that when, and every part of the program have to be benchmarked in the analytical solution possible. If not possible, you have to simplify such that the analytical solution is possible. Switch off some of the terms and see the optimal node numbers and see how the convergence test can be done. So this is the time of operation. So this is the number of elements, and we have the time operation. So that is the way we can see how the CPU time and other details for the 1D OCFE. Now this is the 2-dimensional orthogonal collocation. It is actually, you have to understand it better, because the similar kind of things we'll be doing for the Galerkin FEM. So so this is not available in many of the books. So first part of the OCFM, you can see the Finlayson's book, but this is the thing I developed, and in fact I'm planning to write a book on a finite element method, and many of the things I hope I can cover in my upcoming book on finite element method. So this is the OCFM structure. So you can see many numbers. So I will try to explain very slowly these numbers. So if you see, there is a two-dimensional domain, and each direction there is a 2-point OC. If you forget about this entire part, if you talk about only, if you focus only this line, if you just look at this line, you can see this is only 1D OCFM, and there are two internal points. If you look at this vertical line, we can see 1D OCFM. These two are the internal points. But if you complete it, you can see overall domain having 16 points, and these are the internal OC points, internal orthogonal collocation points, and these are the boundary points. Here I put 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the number of collocation points in y direction, and these are the number of collocation points in x direction. So, and also I call them as number coordinates. So previously we introduced something called NOP array, and we learned that how the element number, local node number, and global node numbers are related. Here we'll be seeing something extra, which is basically called as number coordinates, So we call this as NOC, and number coordinates x and y, so equals to G global node number. That's very simple. So like a coordinate geometry. If you look at 3, that means third node along x direction, third number coordinate along x direction, and third number coordinates along y direction, it is becoming 11. So this is the way the global node numbers actually done. So if you, here I have given the example, NOC 3 with the x coordinate, 2 at the y coordinate, you can get 7. NOC 2 x coordinate 2, y coordinate 4, you get 14. So this is the way NOC can be structured. So if you look at the two-dimensional orthogonal collocation finite element method, this is the entire domain I divided between 4 elements: first element, second element, third element, and the fourth element. So 4 elements, entire things have been divided, and each element will have 16 local coordinates, which we see by the black nodes, black color nodes. 16 nodes are there, and totally we have 49 nodes. There are some sharings of the nodes that we can see. So this is the local node number. This red color is global node number, and these are the element number. Okay. So now I am looking at these nodes, these elements separately. This is my first element, second element, third element, and fourth element. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the global node numbers. So of course, the red markers here are the local node numbers. So, okay. So local node numbers, always we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This order is maintained for all the numbers, all the places. And I have now I also introduce NOP array, NOP array. So this first one is element number. So you have 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can see the array. This is the way you have to structure the structured programming. When you do the computer programming, you need to do efficient bookkeeping work such that we can have computationally efficient programming. And also it should be automated as much you can. NOC 3, 2. So this will give the local node number. This will give the local node number. I'll just go back where you have seen that. So only NOC is defined for a particular segment where we have only one element, and these are all local node numbers. These are all local node numbers. Okay, so what actually happens? You have the local node numbers from the number coordinates. So that means we are having, say, third coordinate of x and second coordinate of y. That means we are having this value, which is actually 10. So these are global numbers. So 1 comma this value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is actually 7. 1 comma 7 equals to 10. 10 is the global number. So this is the way this number coordinates actually done. So for example, NOP, fourth element, you'll be getting global node number. So 2 is the this and 3 is the this. So it has got local node number 10, but global you can get 40. So that is the way the bookkeeping work has been done. So similar to one-dimensional OCAPM, we have to write the 2D OCAPM element-wise, and we had earlier converted the variable x to exact. So here we will be converting variable x to exact and y to y hat. A similar kind of mapping: x minus x knob I comma NOC 1 comma 1 by h. X and y hat should be y minus y knob I comma NOC 1 comma 1 by hy. Okay, so it will be dou to u by dou x square plus dou to u by dou y square to 0. This is my overall domain in the global variable. But what actually happens, the local variable in terms of h hat, x hat and y hat, that means this differential equation is obtained based on the particular element. So this differential equation will be changed from element to element depending on the value of h. And remember that when you talk about the x hat and y hat, and x hat and y hat will be always varying 0 to 1 for any of the elements, and that's the beauty of the mapping. Having said that, we have the residual construction. If you look at this entire domain, we have this 2 by 2 elements. That is, there are 4 elements are actually there: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these red are the global node numbers. And of course, it is very much cumbersome. That's what I'm going slowly, and you can always interrupt in between so that I can address you any of the issues, any of the questions, right? So we have the first, second, third, and 4 elements. So, and these are the boundaries. For example, and boundary conditions, we can see that this is the so this is the problem. Dou to u by dou x square plus dou to u by dou y square to 0, right? At the bottom boundary u equals to 1, side bar left boundary equal to 0, right side is equal to 0, and top right is top is dou u by dou y equals to 0. So this has an advantage of this. All these 3 also have Dirichlet boundary conditions, and in the Dirichlet boundary conditions, you can directly no need to do any kind of orthogonal collocation. You can directly write the residual. Okay, and only the point is these 2 points are singular points. So in these singular points, you have u equals to 0.5. Okay, so in that case, we need to specify 0.5. So if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all these 7 nodes, you can directly write the residuals, and you have the 8th node. 8th node we can have actually 0, and then we have next is 15, 22, 20. We just look at follow the red markers 29, 36, and 43. You have this u equal to 0. So residual construction is very, very straightforward, and there is no need to do OC here. Similarly, for the right side, if you look at, this is also it is 0 except this corner node. And what actually happens that you see the residuals here. It is was all these points you can actually look at. It is all will be 0. So, and then you have to talk about the internal domain. So if you have R2, these are the domains 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you look at this has got u equals to 1. So we have u2 minus 1 equal to 0, u3 minus 1 equal to 0, u4, u5, u6. So this does not require also orthogonal collocation. Similarly, the top points, if you look at here at these 2 points, we also don't require any orthogonal, but here also you need to require orthogonal collocation because dou u by dou y equals to 0, and you need to talk about the A matrix, and A matrix, you need to see the second element, A matrix third element, here also A matrix second element, third element you have to look into. You can put into a do loop and do the computation. Now I am encircling the internal nodes. So each element has 2-point collocation in x direction. X direction 2 point, y direction 2 points. We have the 4-point collocation, right? So we have the 4 collocation points in each domain, each element. So 4 collocation points, and as I promised that each we can write a computer program, and what actually happens here we can have d2y by dx square. We can have collocation for the x direction. d2y by dy square can have collocation in the y direction. So so what actually happens? So when you talk about these 2 points, you need to be very, very careful, and you need to have the number coordinates. Without number coordinates, it is really confusing. So we have the A matrix, and A matrix has, it is a 4 by 4 matrix. If we talk about, so let's go back to my A matrix. I'll go down to my orthogonal collocation slide. This is my A matrix, and let's see the A matrix construction. And the construction, if you see that x1, x2, x3, and x4. And this is basically when A matrix and B matrix are constructed. What actually happens? These are basically done by simple 1-element collocation. So actually collocation is done within a particular domain. So when you do 2-dimensional collocation, you remember that this matrix is having dimension 4 by 4. It will only know the location 1, 2, 3, and 4. But when you have 2-dimensional, you have 2 directions. Each direction should have address. That means what? We talk about number coordinates. What is the role of number coordinates? If you see that this is having 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is having 1, 2, 3, 4. When I talk about this point is very interesting. It is the second point along x direction and second point along y direction. Not that interesting, I can tell you. But this point may be more interesting. Or this point, okay, if you talk about 10th point, 10th global point, it is the second point along x direction, but the third point along y direction. So when you talk about dou to u by dou x square plus dou to u by dou y square for the 10th point, the interesting part is when you evaluate dou to u by dou x square with the B matrix, you have to take the second row of the B matrix. When you talk about dou to u by dou y square, we need to talk the third row of the B matrix. The same convention would apply for the A matrix as well. Okay, this is the very important part. This the part has to be implemented in a proper manner for the computational purpose. Going back to our problem, this is the situation where we were talking about. If you see that this is the knob of element twice, we have the do loop. I equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can actually put in my MATLAB program. This is the number coordinate is very important. L is along x direction, M is along y direction, and you have to see that this M will be fixed for the fixed. It won't be changed for the x direction because I and J is the thing will be operating, and similarly it will be operating in y direction. So you have to, one has to really write the computer program to look into. And I have this is the interfacial points. If we talk about the function, the flux continuity has to be satisfied, and that also has been implemented here. Similarly, here also flux has to be satisfied at the interfacial nodes. Here at this point, the flux has to be satisfied. And when you talk about the flux, remember that this is shared by the two elements. So when you talk about this point, this is the fourth x point for the first element, and the first x point for the this element fourth, so third and fourth element sharing. Similarly, this is the for the y direction is okay. The third point of the y direction for both the sharing elements. So this part has to be taken care pretty well for the computer programming purposes. So this is the one of the points I call this is the boundary, the subsection intersection of boundaries, and the two other points. So this part also has to be taken in a similar manner. And this is the all the nodes. So 25 nodes. We can actually have the element-wise sectors, and we actually go for the Newton-Raphson method to get the solution. So when we see the Newton-Raphson method, and we can see this kind of Jacobian construction, and we can look into now analytical solution part. So this problem we can actually have analytical solution based on separation of variables. So you can actually go back home and do the separation of variables, get the analytical solution. And we have done analytical and 2D OCFEM. You can see that 2D OCFEM performance. I have given a term project to one of my students who has subsequently done a PhD in US and working in a university as a faculty. So this is the term project out of my finite element course. So this is the problem: 1 by 6 d2i by dx square minus dy dx 2i square, and this is the one-dimensional OCFEM, and you can see that. And this is the way the residuals have been constructed in the encircle zone, and these are the comparisons, and then the CPU time level, and similarly another nonlinear problem has been solved. This is the two-dimensional OCFEM grid. You can see that the grid is not uniform grid. This is the typical, and we have considered 9 elements of this OCFEM grid, and took the same problem as I discussed. And this is the solution, analytical solution for the problem, and different kind of boundary conditions we have taken. So you can play with the different kind of boundary conditions. Remember that this entire work was submitted as a undergraduate project under in an infinite element in course, and these are the kind of profiles we have got using the OCFEM algorithm. What actually I mentioned here. So these are the profiles for different kind of boundary conditions. Next, we'll be talking about control volume finite element method. So that is the CVFEM. So any questions on OCFEM from the audience? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I was, yeah. So any questions from the audience? That's what I'm saying, that before starting control volume finite element method. Can you please send SMS or send message to the participants? I think some may be sleeping off. I don't know, because you cannot monitor the people. So, but they have to be awake because a lot of mathematical details are there. So before getting into control volume finite element method, I thought to get some kind of feedback.
Hello? Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Yeah, so it looks like Abdullah Sheikh has one doubt in slide number 53.
53. So can Abdullah Sheikh can talk? No, what is that? If he can talk, that will be better instead of you are talking. Slide number 53. Yes, I'll go back.
Yes, slide number 53 in your.
53. Okay. I'm going back.
Yeah.
In fact, this kind of feedback, if I can receive frequently, I'd be really appreciating. Otherwise, I also feel sleepy while talking, So feedback should be coming, via you or somebody, and you can always interrupt. If you interrupt me, I'd be super happy.
Yes. 53 slide number he says.
Yes, I'm in 53 right now. Right dot 53.
Yeah. Knob 2, NOC 4, 4 is wrong.
No. 4. Okay, 2 means second element. Just a minute. Not the second element.
Y is 4. X is 4 and Y is 4 is not 7, right?
Just a minute. I may be wrong. Yes, it should be 20.
20, yeah.
Yes, it should be 20. Yes, it should be 20.
4, 4.
Yeah, 4. Yes. Sorry, it's not 4. Not 4. Just a minute. It is 4. It's 28.
28, yeah.
28. Yes, you are right. Maybe that I have to correct it. Okay. Anything else? That's good actually. So this type of mistakes I should do actually, so that people will be awake and get into this. And other parts are okay, I guess.
Yeah, everything is fine. Yes.
Okay, then. Anything else?
Jayesh Chordia has asked, are the boundary conditions on 4 corner nodes of a domain irrelevant? See the chat.
Okay. Can you repeat the question once again?
Are the 4 boundary conditions on 4 corner nodes of a domain irrelevant? Please see the chat.
I have to see the chat, huh?
Jayesh Chordia.
Just a minute.
Are the 4 boundary conditions on 4 corner nodes of a domain irrelevant?
I'm not able to see the chat.
Jayesh Chordia.
You can ask the questions. I think best thing to ask questions to having a chat.
I don't
Yeah, because I'm sure all are able to talk English.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think he is right. Yes. No, he says his audio is faulty.
Well, that's the point. This audio has to be there, because this kind of workshop, when they attend, the audio should be always there. That's my point. Okay. Anyway, all of you can see my PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Is my PowerPoint visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So can you please let me know what slide number I have to address? Which slide number? Because if you put the particular slide number, it's always better.
Jayesh, please write the slide number. No, the corner nodes are not irrelevant. The value of the dependent variable is averaged out.
Okay, so there are 4 corners in this point. So I'm just looking at. So this bottom corners and then top corners. Okay, so bottom corners, actually this basically called as singular points. Okay, these points have to be dealt very carefully. And if you look at these two are the reduced surfaces, u equal to 0 and u equals to 1, and this point is actually 0.5. These 2 points are equals to 0.5. So basically it's the average between 0 and 1, and this we have done the benchmark with many of the problems even the Galerkin finite and other papers, and in these 2 points, this averaging actually gives very good convergence with the analytical solution. In fact, we have shown there also in our convergence criteria. When I actually, if you look at my slides, yes, analytical and 2D OCAPM, I have, when I do the mini project, so these are the converged solutions, and this does pretty good job. Any other questions? Hello? Yeah.
Sir, good morning, sir. Sir, in
Yes.
slide number 55, we have said
Can
that
you please introduce yourself?
yeah, I'm Sanatha from Gayatri College, sir.
Okay. So what slide number?
55.
55.
There you have, in 55,
Hmm.
you have mentioned distillate condition is dominating. How we are
55, just a minute.
Yeah.
48 and
55.
55. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
distillate
55 and
condition.
55.
Yeah, in that you have mentioned that distillate condition is dominating. Like
Delay
how?
delay condition. See, basically, yes, you got a very good point. You got a very good point. I appreciate. So
Thank you, sir.
basically, this is basically actually mathematically strong force problem, or actually this type of problem has got a lot of challenges. Let me explain. This is called Dirichlet surface. This is called Dirichlet surface. This is Dirichlet. This is a Neumann surface.
Yeah.
When two Dirichlet surface intersects, definitely this is called as ill-posed problem in mathematics, which is
Okay.
here it is 0.5 we have taken, and numerically we have seen that if you have enough defined grid you can get convergence. But when a Neumann surface like dou u by dou y equal to 0 intersects Dirichlet surface, there is no question. We should not use Neumann surface. Neumann is weaker and weaker boundary condition. It does not give, if you apply only Neumann condition, it does not give any uniqueness of the solution. Uniqueness of the solution always comes from Dirichlet condition, and that's why I wrote Dirichlet condition dominates. Very good question.
Oh. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
everything is clear? Everything is clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, please ask me questions. I really appreciate. Otherwise, I feel like feeling sleepy, while I talk. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want more and more questions. I'm really appreciating these questions. Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Because this part is very difficult. I'm telling you that this portion is not available till date any of the books, and that's why I'm writing the book. So that's why you have to see that, any kind of doubts, any questions you have, I really appreciate. Okay, I think I cannot start CBFEM today because already at 12 o'clock. Hello? 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 Yes, Professor Badri. It is already 12 o'clock, so can we start CBFEM tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay, and guys can actually look into it because I think you have recorded my stuff, so you can share with them and they can look into it. And I need more and more questions tomorrow. And tomorrow we can start from CBFM. Is that okay?
Recorded, yeah, it's all recorded, and I have also.
I'm not able to hear you. Can you please slightly louder?
No, it's all recorded.
Yes.
That is not an issue, and I have also given them the reference book by S.K. Gupta on numeric methods.
Yes, that will be very good because OCFM is pretty good there also. OCFM is pretty good. You are very, very correct. S.K. Gupta is the best reference for that. Because otherwise Finlayson's book and all very difficult to get.
Yeah. It's not available in India right now.
Yeah, those books are not available in India. You are right. In fact, 2D OCFM, I'm telling you, not a single book actually addresses properly. Then I had to do my own.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll end here, and tomorrow again we'll meet at 10 o'clock. Is that okay?
Definitely fine.
Tomorrow 10 o'clock. So any feedback, anything? So first 5-10 minutes, I can get the feedback. Any questions, anything I can address, and we can proceed CBFM and GFM.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you very much. I quit here. Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
BSLO?
Yes, Srinivas. Just we have some announcements to be made. This is MSN Murthy, head of the department, chemical engineering. Thank you, dear participants. I think we have a wonderful session today. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Just we have an announcement regarding, I think in the afternoon session, Srinivas, we will meet at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock sharp we will meet. Before that, I think now before you leave, just we want you to fill one form. We are going to share that is regarding the console that is 1 week trial version. Those who are really interested to do kind of console software like practice. So anyhow, we are going to share these videos, the links. But that regarding the console software, those who are really interested, so please fill that link. We are going to paste in the chat box. Please fill that so that we'll send those links to the those information to the console multiphysics. They will share you the console software. So that is the one thing. Another announcement is regarding the this particular session feedback. So that is also we are going to share you. So please fill that particular link also. Okay. So that's all from my side. So please do share that link. Okay. That is for feedback. One is share regarding the feedback. And PS look, please share. Raju, please share that console link also.
Yes, sir. Already doing. Feedback
Already-
is shared. Feedback is shared.
No,
In
not
chat
feedback.
box.
That regarding the console.
Feedback is shared in the chat box, sir.
Console.
Please click on that. Comsal also I'm going to share, sir.
Yes. Okay.
How long is it available? Console link.
Not console link. Console. Whoever need that thing. So we will take those names and we will pass on to the console. Please fill this. Yes.
So, dear sir, so the first one is a feedback link. Please click on that and you will get 5 questions. Try to complete that. After that, you please click on the next link, which is to collect the members or email IDs, those who need COMSOL trial version software. We will collect these email IDs, we will send to the COMSOL version so that they can send you the trial version. You have to download that.
And you can
Anyhow,
use
we are sending the hands-on session, a recorded hands-on session. After completion of download session, you may practice using that trial version software, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So please copy those 2 links and please send us the information, sir. Thank you, sir, for your participation. So we'll meet again at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, afternoon session starts at 3 o'clock.
In the same link only, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So if anybody is having anything, you can chat also. So definitely we'll send the recording session, sir. Don't worry, sir. We'll share you that recording the links. 3 p.m.
శ్రీనివాస్
Sir, Ramakrishna, sir.
ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ సెషన్ ఏదో కొద్దిగా బ్రీఫ్ ఇచ్చేయండి. ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ ఏముంటుంది?
Yeah, afternoon session we will have a COMSOL hands-on session by Professor Badri Srinivas, sir. So he will show you how to solve a problem. First, starting from the scratch. How to use that COMSOL software, all those things will be given by Professor Badri Srinivas garu, who will give you the explanation wherever you required. Yeah, while session is going on, sir is giving some messages through chat box. If at all, if you have any doubts, you can clarify all those doubts in that session, sir. Yeah, sir is mentioned already. Sir Srinivas, sir, today's session afternoon, what you are going to discuss, sir?
I'm going to solve a heat conduction example, and I'm going to show you all the facilities available in the software. Means how
Okay, sir.
to generate cross-sectional plots, how to do averaging, logic operations.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yeah, that is
yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, before that, we need to the trial version. We need to install it.
Yes, sir. Time being, it may take some time for that trial version. Maybe the GB is the around that capacity of that software is, or size of that software is around 5 to 6 GB.
Okay.
It may take some time for downloading you to
And
download,
installing. Okay.
installing. Meanwhile, just you please go through this. Anyhow, we are sending the recorded versions. After
Okay, sir.
once after completion of the installation session, you can practice. If at all, if you have any doubts, you can come back to us.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Thank
Okay,
you,
sir. Feel free to ask questions at any point of time during the hands-on session, sir. Yeah, our Professor B. Srinivas garu and myself, co-coordinator Dr. B. Srinivasulu will be available in that session, sir.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 3 o'clock, sir. We will meet at 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir. We will meet.
Okay, we will meet 3 o'clock.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, sir.
హలో
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Please,
This,
please.
this COMSOL software, can we use after this FTP also?
No. 1 week. They will give you 1 week license, sir. Trial version only.
Only 1 week.
1 week, sir.
I see. Right. Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, Ramakrishna, sir.
Yes, Lou, we will stop this thing recording.
Yeah, yes, sir. You can stop, sir. Sir, Ramakrishna.